Any changes to the agenda?
I don't think so.
No? Good.
I make a motion we accept the agenda as written.
Have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to start tonight with their RDA for 13 Glades Road. Do that first and then move right into the other stuff.
Good morning, afternoon, or whatever it is.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good. This is for an RDA for a repair of a septic system on 13 Glades Road. What we have is a repair of a septic system. There exists right now 3 cesspools that are up there. And what we'll end up doing is putting a brand new septic system right within this location, how to get around that. The top of the slope is right over here, and it's 55 feet from the edge of the system. And it's kind of cut and dry. That's what we're looking for in an RDA in order to construct it. What we may want to try to do is there's an existing water line that comes into that, and that feeds the sprinkler system. There's another water line that comes that feeds the house into here. And what we'll be looking at, I don't know if we can do it or not, is make this the main water line coming into the house. This way, by doing that, we could push this back another maybe 10 or 15 feet away from the top of the bank. But we won't know that until we get started on this. And that's all. That's what it is.
What are you taking out? I mean, I understand it's a replacement.
The cesspool. There are 3 cesspools we'll be taking out. There's no tank, it just goes into the cesspool. There's the main cesspool, overflow, another overflow cesspool. And we get a 5-foot overdig, which is the top and subsoil will be removed and backfilled with sand.
No questions? No questions? Amy?
No comment. I think it would be a great improvement, obviously over the 3 cesspools. And the road does separate this property from the resource area.
Yeah.
I think it meets the requirements of a negative determination.
It's at the back of the property.
Anybody in the audience for this situation at 13 Glades? Did you say a -3, Amy?
I make a motion for a -3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks very much for coming in.
Oh, you don't want to stay?
Yeah, I'll be outside.
Oh, okay. Way out.
We have a continuation for 33 Oceanside, raised moved dwelling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Paul Miravito from Ross Engineering Company. At the last meeting, we were asked to come back with some additional information, which we did. We submitted a separate sheet showing proposed site sections. It shows the slope of the land, basically from, these are the 3 cross sections. This cross section is looking out toward the street, which is this one here. What it shows is the wall, the garage, and the shallow swell directing water out to the street. Section B shows the stairs, the wall, and then the slope coming out to the berm. And section C shows the cross-section of the foundation, the wall, and the yard area sloping out to the road. We've also added the outside open deck that's off the first floor of the garage. We submitted the structural plan. You have photographs of the house prior to the demolition, which you asked for. And those are the only revisions we made. This is the previous sheet that we submitted for the last meeting that showed the berm. And that's when we were asked to show cross sections through the wall, the front of the house, and the side of the house. We haven't changed anything on this drawing, but we did present this drawing here and put the cross sections on it.
Paul, how much fill are they gonna bring in? Do you have how many truckloads, how much yardage?
About 700 cubic yards.
700, oh, okay.
And we have been on the last line.
Yes, and this is not the new.
We have an increase of 10.8% of the impervious area. We've already provided the stormwater calculations
Yeah,
for the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm.
Paul, were those the only revisions that were requested last
Yes,
meeting?
Yes. You asked for some of the first meeting and then the last meeting.
Well, so my notes, Rich
Go ahead.
and Paul, reflect foundation plan, northwest walls. Can we eliminate a wall? It went along that, and then
Yeah.
something about the berm and the swale also, but we did get pictures, so that was good.
Any questions?
well, I was curious about the fill, because it isn't on the new plan, but Paul answered that. I'm just not crazy about foundation, once again, and the berms, and all the fill. I don't know. It's just such a area with, I know it's not velocity, but boy, when the storm comes, it runs down 10th Ave, which is not far away. I mean, it completely floods that street.
Questions?
Did we get any kind of input from DEP, CZM on
On this one.
this
No.
this type of fill in
Not in this specific case.
land subject to flooding?
Right, so I mean, there's still, there's still no performance standards for land subject to coastal storm flowage, but we know that they're pending.
That doesn't do it.
I know, it doesn't, because we haven't seen them, even if what they are pending to be, we're not sure. But I still think that interests of the act that are important here would be protection of storm damage prevention and flood control, and demonstrating, you know, that this project isn't going to have an impact on the abutters
Right.
for those interests.
Right.
It's a tough case, for sure.
Lisa?
My concern is the potential impact of this landscape walls. Because, I mean, that's a solid structure. I mean, I understand the foundation's a solid structure, but now this is an additional solid structure that we all know that if any wave hits that, it's gonna shoot it left and right and impact any abutters. I don't have notes about approximately how much fill that was supposed to be going behind the landscape wall. And I do recall something about a foundation plan last week. I think we.
Yes, we submitted that. And the volume of fill was on the original plan of 700 cubic yards.
Oh,
I'd be happy, I think you were absent at the last meeting, but that issue of the wall that came up and how the water would go around it, I'd be happy to explain what I said to the commission last week about it.
this is the foundation.
The top of that wall is at elevation, I think it's 15.9. And the top of the wall is elevation 15.9. And the FEMA flood elevation is 15. So what that means is the wall is approximately 11 inches higher than the flood waters would be. Right now, this is elevation 13 here, and this is 11. Right now, the water comes right across this lot, and it goes across the street. There's a catch basin here. This is the low spot where water collects and it comes into the houses down in the back here. What happens is Oceanside Drive is all sloped in this direction. So the water comes down here, and it comes along here, and it comes into the road down in here. What this plan is going to do is, again, according to FEMA, when this area floods, the water would slowly rise up to elevation 15, which is going to be lower than this wall. So any water coming in this direction is going to go back into the street and down the street where it's already going, and it's going to find the low areas, which are down in this area here. What this does in the smaller storms, not ocean storms now, in your regular rainstorms, these infiltrators will collect the water coming off the entire roof area, and it'll recharge it back into the ground. So you won't have any runoff from the rainstorms coming across this lot and going into the street. You don't have that advantage right now. This is a poured concrete foundation. The slab is approximately a foot above the flood elevation, which is required by your rules and regulations. The garage is at 15.1, which is an inch and a half above it. The first floor here is 1.1 feet above the 100-year flood elevation. We also have a berm in here, which is going to be planted. These are low plants. This is elevation 13. This area here, the berm would be a foot above the existing grade. And what we're doing is sloping back. We're going to slope from the berm back to this planter wall here. When you look at the planter wall, it's going to be about 1.8 feet high. As you look at it from the street, which is about this high. And the purpose of that is to contain some of the fill in the walking area around the house here. This is the stairway. You'd walk out to a platform and go in each direction. The original plan had the stairway coming straight out, but we had to turn it because of the stormwater chamber in this area here. This is going to look like a stairway you might see in a Nantucket house. And again, the purpose of these walls is, it is going to contain the fill, but it also keeps it from washing out, and it also prevents the water from coming across this whole lot area and coming directly at the properties across the street, which it was doing in the prior condition. That was one of the concerns of the abutters that I heard at the very first meeting. You can't stop the water coming over the seawall and coming into the street, and it is coming down Kenneth Road. Again, this is the low spot. From here, the road starts coming up slowly. There are no performance standards in this flood area here. This plan does meet all the requirements for doing work in this area. And again, the reason everything's up is to get it out of the flood zone so they don't get hit with high insurance rates.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Jen?
Yeah, I think my thoughts have already really been conveyed. I'm definitely not in favor of the berm and the walls. The thing that I guess I don't quite understand your logic on is you're saying the wall against between the property and then the McDonald's. If that's stopping the water from coming onto the property, then it's keeping it on the McDonald's, which feels like a negative.
No, there's a swell. We're showing the cross section. This is one of the things we talked at the last meeting, but this is elevation 13, and the swell down in here is at 12.7, and it's at 12 here. And the water would come in here and go along here and out into the street.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this is in your big ocean storms. In your normal rainstorm, you wouldn't have that kind of volume of water. And if you did have any coming here that wasn't picked up by the yard area here, it'd still come out into the swale and flow into the street and down into these catch basins. Again, we're talking two different storms. One is the ocean storms, and the other one is your normal rainstorms. In the normal rainstorms, you wouldn't see any runoff coming off from the roof area going into the streets, and it'd all be recharged, and the lawn areas would absorb it as well. The paved area would send it out to the street, but that's a relatively small area. There's only an increase of 10% in the impervious area on this site compared to the previous one.
But it wasn't, maybe I'm missing something, and just correct me, but wasn't it on, pillar, what's, wood pillars before? English is a struggle for me today.
Piles?
Piles, yeah, there we go. And now it's a board foundation, so how is the impervious only 10% more?
The impervious area is based upon the roof area. Any other hardscape that's on the lot, like sidewalks or driveways.
Right.
What we did was compare the existing conditions with the proposed conditions. We were provided with an existing conditions plan, which was a survey of the property before Mr. Boyajian bought it.
Right.
That was supplied to us by the engineer that did that survey, and we compare that with what's proposed. I mean, this house is smaller in area than the other one that was there. So that's one of the ways it was reduced.
Well, just as a point is, existing conditions currently is no impervious. I mean, there's
Correct.
nothing on the site anymore.
Yeah, it left before the hearing.
You good enough for now?
For now.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this at 33 Oceanside? Yes, please give your name and address.
I'm Amy Berger from 72 Kenneth Road. I just want to renew my objection again to the walls and the walls are just going to push any water that comes across that property, whether it's from storm or rain, off of that property or keep it from going off that property onto everyone else that's surrounding it. And that front berm, I think it was going back to 2001. Every year with the storms, that front yard fills in more with a little bit of sand and rock and everything, and nothing grows in that yard because it's so sandy. That berm, with the first little bit of coastal flooding that we get, all of that berm is going to end up filling those catch basins that are at the end of Kenneth Road. I'm out there cleaning them during every storm. Already. If he brings in all of this, it's only going to get worse.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak tonight? So just to very quickly explain what happens, I'm not sure we probably have enough information to close. This has been in 3 different meetings. Closing simply means that we're not going to take any additional information, and then we'll decide whether or not to approve or decline this particular situation. I would say that no matter what we do, nothing is going to happen until the fine that we've issued is paid, and we'll move ahead. And certainly there is a great deal of concern about how this, no matter how it meets all the regulations, how it might affect the neighbors in the area. So, with no deal.
Can we get a still talk or something around the property in the meantime?
That would be part of the conditions that we would issue if it's approved, yes.
She's asking for it now.
In the meantime.
Oh, I don't know, can we do that?
Why, is this stuff moving?
Every time we get any kind of water at all, it
Okay.
rushes across that yard. And like I said, I'm out there cleaning the storm drains.
Sure, sure, okay. Yes, we'll make that a condition.
Well, it's something she'd like done
No.
now.
As an
Sooner
enforcement.
rather than later.
So can we do that? Can we get a
Amy said
silt-suck
yes.
in that area, around that block?
Are they talking about water, are they talking about sediments, or?
Yes.
She's talking about
Ground's frozen, yeah.
sediment going across
It's not
Kenneth
frozen.
Road.
It's-
Well, it's going to be 50 this weekend.
Nothing's frozen very
No
hard
snow.
right now in
Not
this
tomorrow,
area.
but by this weekend, it's going to be
Yeah.
back up to 50.
So about 4 feet of, 4 inches of snow that proposed will melt.
Be melted by tomorrow.
I mean, right now, the water runs across the lot like it did before, because the water's running downhill. It's
I
at
think the point
13.
is, Paul, that it's carrying a lot of silt with it, and we need to prevent that from happening.
Brought fill in. It wasn't there.
He filled in the small basement area, but he filled it up to grade.
He brought fill in before we even opened. I mean,
He did.
You want to
Yeah.
get.
No, he brought the fill
He
in.
did a violation. He shouldn't have brought the fill in. We hadn't even opened the hearing yet. He took the house down, brought fill in. The neighbors are asking for a silt, something to contain what was brought in, which hasn't stabilized there.
I-
Simple.
I think even as a goodwill gesture, it would be a good thing to do that's being requested by the neighbors. So we're respectfully requesting that it happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
I make a motion.
And when
Oh,
will
wait.
that be done by?
I don't know that they've agreed to it.
They want to put a silt sock around the property? I mean, we had to put one down for the proposed work, we'd put it in that location, which is pretty much around the outside perimeter of everything.
Yeah, but we would want it done basically now or within the
Now?
next week or so. Yes.
Okay.
Can we do that? Do we have an understanding of that?
Well, I could, but the fill, right now, the lot is lower than the two adjacent lots, so it's all staying within the lot.
Well, we just heard neighbors say that it isn't staying in
Now,
there.
that's on the outside of it, but the two sides where it's higher, you know, if you want you around the outside, that's fine,
Please do it. No,
no problem.
By the
Thank you.
end of the week.
Thank you.
Today's Monday.
I said within the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you want to make sure nobody else wants?
Is anybody else that would like to speak to this 33 Oceanside?
Well, I'm 37 Oceanside. I just want to know.
May I have your name, please?
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
Nancy McDonald. That this wall is my concern, is that we're moving water in a different direction, and I just want to know, be guaranteed that we do not, I've lived there 3.5 years, through some big storms, we have not gotten water into our home, on the inside of our home. I just want to guarantee that that is not going to change things for the neighbors. And I guess it just seems wrong to me that the wall would be allowed to move water in a different direction onto other people's property. And I'm new to all this, and I just want to know what the laws are about that. Are there any laws
Where does she
protecting
live?
people from that, from changing the movement of water onto other people's property?
Right. You said you were at 37 Ocean?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Oceanside. The bad news is, I don't think for any of us, there's ever an absolute guarantee. But one of the reasons that we're having these hearings is one of the things we have to do is try to mitigate any effect that it might have on neighbors, such as you. And that's, I think, the biggest point that all of us have tried to raise. I know you just came in.
Hearing that. No, and I've been to the other meetings, I'm
Right.
hearing that.
Right. So, yes, that is a huge concern, and so, assuming we close this, as I just mentioned, we could accept it and it would be conditioned, or we could decline it, in which case they could appeal, and the process continues on a little bit. But that is a big concern, to make sure that neighbors are not adversely affected as much as is possible. As I say, things do change, so there's no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but we want to make sure it's as small a chance as possible that anything negative would happen.
Or maybe work with the neighbors and coming up with a
Absolutely.
plan that works for the neighbors.
Yes, yes. So that would be what we would have to handle.
Reasonable people live in the neighborhood and would be happy to work together on a plan.
Right.
It works for everybody.
So we are definitely keeping that in mind, and I appreciate your comments very much. Anyone else?
Can I ask a question?
Huh?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
All the spot elevations on Nancy's property there along the swale, are those proposed
Yes.
or existing?
No, those are proposed. If there is a garage in that corner, tucked in the corner, and there's, which is gone, you can see in the photographs, there's in the right rear corner of that property.
Right.
There's
No,
a
I'm-
driveway coming up to it, so
Like-
that's gone, and
What I'm looking at is the 12-foot contour that winds its way through the property, so it's pretty darn flat, and that 12-foot contour actually closes on itself. So the
Yes.
12.1 grade would actually be a fill.
well,
I'm concerned that the water is going to get out onto Oceanside Drive, that swale. Like, I don't see where it's going to outlet when it's already at 12. It's got to be lower than that existing. That contour closes on itself. So I don't see how it outlets onto the pavement, and I'm also guessing that there should be some lip, some height to the pavement itself. It's not usually flush with the grass.
well, the,
That water is actually going to make it out in a major storm. It would, because there's going to be there's going to be some volume to it. But in a regular rain, it looks to me like it's going to puddle right on the rounding of that driveway, right on the corner, and it will be on her property.
the grade out there is a 12 in the street, And just inside the property is a spot grade at the cross of 12.1. So from 12.1, it flew out to the 12,
So
which is in the street,
but it's grass, and it's gonna be less than a 1% grade, right?
yes.
So,
So what would you suggest that we'd want to see?
my concern is it's not really gonna work.
Okay.
I would have rather seen something, different. I don't know
I mean,
what we do.
Richard,
it is flat in that area, but the hydraulics do work.
Yeah, I'm just looking at, there's a 12-foot here, and it goes out into the street, there's a 12.0 there, 12 point there.
Yeah, the
So
streets,
I don't see how the water even goes down Ocean Drive if that 12-foot contour juts across the road like that. It may be just be incomplete data on that side, so the contours aren't.
I mean, these contours were provided to us,
Excuse me.
but I mean, you got the 12-foot contour in that area.
They were provided to you? You guys didn't do this?
Yeah, the survey was from another engineering company. We didn't
Okay.
do the topo on this. It was done when the existing house was there, and the plan was always to raise that house.
How long
And
ago was
our-
that done?
Pardon?
How long ago was that done?
I think it was done last fall. Yeah,
All
it was
right, so you
recent.
probably don't have access to that raw data then, like the spot shots, the existing spot shot. All right, well, we don't have to belabor it. I might,
mean,
that's
this-
just my
this-
concern. I don't think that's
this-
really gonna work.
This works on paper. I mean, we could always pick up the elevations, that 12.7, we could pick the 12.3 up and the 12, the other 12, we could pick that 12.1 up another tenth, maybe two, and get it, because the driveway's at 13. And that's going out
I mean,
into the street.
you're filling to make a swale to do that. But you'd have to grade it all the way back to the 13 to make that work. So, and you can't do that without Nancy's involvement, so.
But we have room to pick that slope, I mean, the ground elevation up at our property line, and we do show it on the cross-section, there's a shallow swell in there. That was in section,
Yeah,
Hey,
no, I see it, and I agree, it works on paper. It just looks really, really flat with the
it does have a slope to it. It isn't much, but it does work. It'd be a grass swale. I mean, the other option is to pave that strip, so the water goes right down that paved area and right out into the
It's
street.
not likely to work.
They don't have to worry about leaves or sediment.
all right.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak to 33 Oceanside?
I'm sorry I got here late.
That's all right. Your name and address, please.
Doris Query, 8 Oceanside Drive. And I have been very active both in the town of Scituate and Marshfield. I'm a CRS coordinator and all of that. And I am very concerned about the development and what is going on here. I mean, this is an A-zone coastal area, and typically you don't put slabs into the A-zone coastal area. And FEMA does not want to have fill brought into coastal areas because the water that will come across that street, I mean, on the other side of the street, it's a V-zone with no houses, no nothing to stop the flow. And that is going to sweep across and create all of the scour, as well as it's going to direct that water. If that land is higher on that lot, it's going to direct the water to the street and to the property on the other side. And redirecting the water, I mean, that is, to me, something that this property is truly faced with, as well as if there's any erosion under those slabs, they will collapse. I mean, I've sat in a ton of FEMA meetings where they show pictures of those types of things. And they only recommend slab type of construction along the riverine area, and then it's in a very specific way. And I don't know of any other areas along there that we're putting in slabs. Most people put in foundations with breakaways so the water can flow through and you don't stop the flow of the water. And they're all designed and, based upon the amount of cement and everything, and they will stand up and stand up great. And then you have a ground floor where the water can drain out. The water will actually pick up speed as it goes across the slab, and versus ground. So I think this design, if this is what they're asking you to approve, I think you really need to look at it. And I sent into the board the technical bulletin on 10-01, which clearly in the index says fill prohibited, and then it goes on to talk about fill in the air, and it says that in coastal A zones, FEMA strongly recommends not, and it's in bold letters to do it. So I certainly would say that given the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of properties that they've seen destroyed and the effects of, that we should, as a town and a community, kind of stick with that guideline.
Thank you, Doris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else for 33 Oceanside?
I had a question.
Yes, Jen?
Never ending questions.
It's all right.
I hadn't heard before that somebody would use some older elevation numbers. What is our typical guideline on usage of, like, how old should the elevations be?
Well, I think that's up to the discretion of the professional using the data.
Yeah,
And you did
that-
say it's within a year. It isn't like
Oh, yeah,
it's 10
right,
years
it's-
ago. Yeah.
That's within the most recent adjustment for the flood elevations within a year.
Well, I mean, it's a topographical survey, right? I mean, I suppose that the elevations there could change a little bit because of what comes across the street. But generally, I mean, those are going to stay pretty steady. But I would say that's a call from the PE that's designing the...
No, those grades are recent. They were done last, I think last September.
What is the material of fill that you're using or proposing?
Or have used.
It'll be gravel.
Right.
We're gonna be recharging the water onto the site. So it'd be like some of the bank run gravel in the area around the infiltrators. That's a processed gravel with crushed stone. And then you would have loam on top of that for your lawn area.
And what was used prior to permission?
Pardon?
What material was used?
What's already been put there?
Right.
I'm sorry,
What was the kind of fill that has already been put there?
I used just some bank run gravel, which you put in the basement area. I was told a portion of the old house had a lower level in it, and they filled that in so they wouldn't have a hole in the ground for safety reasons, which is standard procedure.
Anyone else? Benny?
No,
Let's close this.
let's close it.
Go ahead.
Okay, I make a motion to close.
Say it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I see the question, I see a question out there. Just to make sure, I think I said this and you might not have been in.
Yeah.
Closing it simply means we take no more information. It doesn't say what's going to happen beyond that. Okay.
We need to chat amongst ourselves.
87 Glaze Road, raised and rebuild septic system. This is continued.
Yeah, we're going to continue that. I'm from Morris. He sent an email to your office earlier today, I believe.
What do you
Greg
think?
did.
Okay.
87 Glazes continue.
Okay,
It should
wait
be
a
in the
minute.
folder.
I don't have the notebook, Jen.
Since I have it.
Okay. Is that just gonna be till
Oh,
the
it
next
is here.
meeting?
I'm sorry.
March 4th.
Next meeting. It's right here in front of me.
Okay,
Do you need a pencil?
second, March 4th, 87 Glade. Yes.
That's just, he just continued that?
Yep. I make a motion that we continue 87 Glades to March 4th at 6:20.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
6:06, Chief Justice Cushing.
Hi there.
Good evening.
We're back.
Back. Put this here for now. I don't know if I have to.
Hey, what happened?
Too much?
To run off with the easel?
No, they're bringing it up.
No, there was one up there already. Paul took it. You're on TV.
It must have hit
No,
his, actually.
we're fine. We're just,
How are you?
Good. Tim Power, working, professional engineer in Massachusetts, working with Activitas on this project. So, just a quick update. We were almost going to continue, but I wanted to come in. We've been working with the peer review engineer, Deb Keller from Merrill Engineers. I think today we got her last piece of information. I think she's satisfied. I don't know if she reached out to Amy or not, but I think by tomorrow she said she thought she'd have a clean letter. So the purpose of coming in tonight is really just to check in. We're hoping to be able to close at the following hearing and get an order just due to the schedule of the project. So I was hoping to just take an opportunity if there's any other concerns of the commission or the public or whatnot, that we can be prepared to address them before the next hearing.
no, I think the only thing we were waiting for was the peer review, you know.
Okay.
To get that in, and I don't know if Amy did receive it or not today. No.
No, she said probably tomorrow, so.
Oh, okay, so we will be getting that, and, yeah.
Questions?
Where's the resource area on this? All over the
Oh,
place?
oh, yeah.
Oh, there, I see the dotted lines, never mind.
Sure, yeah, this is actually the 100-foot, this solid line is the one wetland system, this is the other one over here with some couple of little isolated.
So you're barely in it in a couple of areas there.
Yeah, a couple places that are already in the, there's some manicured lawn field over here, actually, that we're trying to pull out and sort of restore that 25-foot buffer. Just one new outfall may come in here.
99% of it's all disturbed already.
Yeah,
And
okay.
they're just, you know, and they're gonna actually make it better. Closer to the wetlands, they're gonna.
Yes. Any questions? Jen?
No.
No questions, no? So what you're hoping to do is have us close next meeting with orders?
With an order, we'd love to just be able to close out everything if possible.
Yeah, we don't typically do that, but.
I know
mean,
we don't, but-
We can close, and if you want to vote to issue, we can have it ready within 21 days, which would be typical. But that would be before the next meeting anyways, you know what I mean? So we'll do the best we can, yeah.
But we can't close now without you seeing that peer review, am I
Right.
correct?
I would recommend it.
Fine.
We don't
Okay.
have
Nope.
final revised plans in
Got
hand
it.
yet, so.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak to 606 Chief Justice Cushing? So we would continue.
Yes, I make a motion, we continue, Central High School track and athletic fields, March 4th at 6:20.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Bill, has this been through and signed up by the planning board at this point?
They've opened the hearing. I don't know if they've signed off. I think the same issue they're waiting for
They've
peer review.
continued it also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Have a great evening. 18 Evangeline Drive, pool and patio.
Good evening.
How are you?
Hey, you're not Jeff Hassett.
No.
For the record, my name is James Garfield. I'm an engineer at Morse Engineering. Here today to represent Patrick McNamara for the notice of intent associated with the proposed pool at 18 Evangeline Drive. So Greg Morse came at the previous meeting and presented this project to you guys. And you asked for some additional information as to where the fence that we were proposing on the rear lot line was going to go, as well as proposed plantings in that area.
Right.
So we've clearly defined where that rear fence is going to go in the revisions, pretty much straddling the rear lot line, still remaining outside of the 50-foot buffer. And we've also submitted the plantings plan per Duxbury Gardens to the office.
Good plans, man.
Yeah.
Do we need another copy of that, by the way?
Oh, okay.
We just have one.
Yep, I can get that to you.
Was there anything else we were looking for at the time?
Not really. The concern was with the fence, just to make sure that you know how these things go. You give them an inch, and then the next thing you know, they're out in the woods. But this is all fine. That's all. We just want to make sure.
What kind of a fence?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
I think they were talking a black chain link. I'm not sure.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
To go out there,
That's
just
what I
to
wondered.
blend in.
Yep.
And that was just the concern, to make sure
Okay.
it stops there. So I
Any
don't-
questions? Any other
No, I
questions?
don't have any.
None? No, Lisa?
Nope, nothing.
Jen?
Nope.
Amy, we good?
Good, I think that we have what we need, so I'd
Yeah.
probably recommend, as long as there's no questions.
Anyone else in the audience for 18 Evangeline? I'll take a motion.
I make a motion to close. Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
I,
Is Jeff back yet?
Jeff is, yep.
Okay.
Freshly back from his
How's the
new little
baby?
boy.
Yeah, okay. I just was curious.
Oh, that's always good, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
And you're going to stay right up here, aren't you? Next is 109 Jericho.
So again,
man, he dumped on you, didn't he?
my name is James Garfield. Here representing John and Danielle Wolf for the notice of intent and stormwater associated with the 109 Jericho Raise and Rebuild. So to familiarize yourself with the plan, we've got our property lines outlined here in bold. It's a little bit difficult to see the existing dwelling, but it is right here under our proposed. We've got frontage along Bay Ridge Road and Jericho Road. And in terms of resource areas at this site, the entire site lies within the FEMA flood zone AE elevation 15. And we've also got a salt marsh that's associated with Scituate Harbor, which is right here, shown in blue. And we've got the 50 and 100 foot. What we're proposing to do is to tear down the existing dwelling and construct a new proposed single-family dwelling, the first floor of which will sit at elevation 18.
With flood.
So we're going to fully comply with FEMA, being 3 feet above the flood zone elevation, and we're also providing flood vents for the proposed house to be equipped with. And this site triggers the stormwater bylaw.
Thank you.
So it triggers the stormwater bylaw due to the increase in impervious area from the proposed roof as well as proposed driveway. So in order to mitigate that, we've proposed a crushed stone trench to capture the runoff from the proposed driveway, and we've proposed a roof drywall system comprised of leaching chambers that will be connected to the roof downspouts to collect any runoff coming from the proposed roof. We've got a mulch sock shown here at the down gradient limit of work to help with any erosion control, and it also should be noted that we know that this is going to get continued tonight. We're still working on the revisions from Merrill Associates, and basically we just wanted to come here, show you guys the plan, and if you had any feedback, questions, we can address those at the next meeting. So with that, I'll leave it to you guys.
So you're raising and rebuilding. What's the difference in the square footage from what's raised to what's being rebuilt?
Yep, I've got that right here. Hold on one second. Alright, so in terms of square footage, the existing impervious area is about 1,300 square feet, and the proposed is about 4,200 square feet.
So you're quadrupling, basically.
Not
quite.
Doubling.
Tripling.
I believe that we have a number here, 218%, so slightly over doubling.
And that triggers, that's what triggered the stormwater.
Stormwater.
Right.
Okay.
How deep is that trench? The gravel trench?
It's going to be 2 feet wide by 2 feet deep.
Ooh, okay. No, that's good. I like that. I like it for another project too, maybe.
So you were here for a previous meeting, and so this idea of that we're running into a building, we're in a flood zone, they're in AE 15, same situation, and we're grading. What I wanted to point out to the board in this particular case, they're not actually changing the drainage pattern, even though they're filling it. So the water goes from Jericho Road down towards the rear abutters lot now, and it's going to, the pattern is going to go in the same direction.
Right.
So, and with the addition of the flood vents, my only question on that would be, there's a formula the FEMA has for how many you have to have, and you just follow that formula, whatever it is. But so there needs to be enough flood vents that the water will
Go through.
successfully go through. If you don't put enough in there, then it still blocks it. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is just because we've had a couple of these, and this would be a better design, because there's no walls obstructing the wall, the water abruptly, and it doesn't change the actual drainage pattern. Now, I don't know if we have abutters here that are concerned about that, but
Well, we'll not only get to them, but as he pointed out, this isn't going to get closed tonight, it's going to be continued, so there'll be ample opportunity to bring that stuff up.
So should
And-
we be able to see a plan that reflects how many flood vents?
there would be a detailed, I don't know if you'd have to put it in a plan or just specify it in the foundation plan. It's all new construction, right? So it would be specified in the foundation plan.
Okay.
And,
Do you have a foundation plan
I
that
bel-
you submitted?
Yeah, so we submitted the structural plans along with the notice of intent. It's in the, I believe it's Appendix C or D.
Yeah, it's there.
Appendix C, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. There's lots there, if you want to look through it. Structural design drawings. It's on the notice of intent. Every little thing.
Those are great comments. Anything else you want to add?
no. No. I think I'm guessing that the infiltrators you're going to put up, it's going to pick up all the roof runoff,
Correct.
Yeah.
so that'll actually help the situation. So.
Lisa?
I don't have any questions.
Anyone in the audience? Regarding 109 Jericho.
It's in the notes.
I'm sorry?
If anybody wants to look at
Sure.
this, you're more than welcome.
Amy?
No, I think we're making good progress with this project. It's,
Yeah.
as James says, it's in review. First round of comments came back. I think that one of the things that they're looking for real data for the design, like maybe test pit data, stuff like that. But, yeah, no, I think you should continue it to the next meeting, and hopefully we can wrap it up then.
Yeah.
Next meeting good?
Sounds good.
For March?
Yep.
I make a
Penny?
motion to continue 109 Jericho Road, 620 on March 4th. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Tack Factory Pond is being continued. Penny,
It's an AE zone.
you want to continue Tack Factory Pond?
It is?
That's what I've got here.
Well, yeah, wait a minute, I'm getting myself confused, sorry. I make a motion, we continue Tack Factory Pond, that's well 17, March 4th at 6:20.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent work.
Now, these are in bold. Why is that?
Because they are new.
No, the new one.
Which means I have a spiel to make. On February 11th, do we have somebody here for Dreamwald? Good. No break for you. On February 11th, 2019, at 6:25 PM in the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 of the Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Kevin Lonergan for septic repair and associated grading on the property located at 58 Drimwald Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening again.
Septic. Oops, the line in this house.
So to familiarize yourself with this plan, we've got the notice of intent for the septic design at 58 Dreamwald. We've got our property lines outlined here in bold, and our existing dwelling is centered on the lot right here. We've got a bordering vegetated wetlands shown in blue right here, as well as the 50 and 100-foot setbacks. In terms of the existing septic out there right now, we've got the existing single-family dwelling serviced by a cesspool in the rear yard, and what we're proposing to do is install a gravity-fed system in that backyard area. The proposed system will remain completely outside the 50-foot buffer zone, and there is a small portion of the grading associated with that will be within the 50-foot buffer. And at its closest point, it will be 47 feet or so away from the bordering vegetated wetland, and we've proposed to put a staked mulch sock at the down gradient limit of work in order to help with erosion control. So that, if you have any questions, I'll open it up to you.
I'd like to see, a little farther away from that 50, but, because it's going down, the grading, the contours there.
Any chance that can be pulled back a
Yeah,
little?
that could be pulled back.
Yeah, so we actually looked into that, and the reason that it is pushed back to that point is just so the system can flow by gravity.
That's what I was going to guess that, yeah.
So otherwise, we would have had to pump it. So we've kind of pulled it back as far away while maintaining the gravity-fed system as is feasible. So.
Yeah, and if they go with a pump, then they have to put in a pump chamber.
Yeah.
So there's two big tanks out there in the buffer zone instead of just one.
And you say that, but that is simply grading, and that's encroaching there to the 47?
So within the 50-foot, that 47 feet that I mentioned, that's just grading associated with that proposed septic system. The actual leaching field will remain completely outside of it. As noted right here, I believe it's 60.2 feet from the wetland right there.
Do you have Board of Health approval?
Okay, wait a minute.
He's got a
Don't believe we have
minimum
Board of Health
slope on
approval
it.
yet.
There's
Yeah,
not
it's still
much you can
pending.
do. It's already at a minimum
So it
slope.
wouldn't be close to
I
my
hate to
anyways.
make people have a pump chamber.
Are you you're not going to disturb the tree line with that grading, are you?
No, we're not. Looks like
No, it's the
we're
existing one.
Yeah.
coming
Okay.
maybe pretty close to it on that edge.
Yeah, but you're not going to have to do replanting
No.
in there,
Jen?
because it is just
I don't
one
think so.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Anyone in the audience for 58 Dreamwald? Amy?
Yeah, so just a few comments. It would be obviously, so this will be an improvement, which is good. And it is pre-existing lawn with the leaching field, enough away, but I agree with Penny's point for sure. Any yard waste I noticed when I was out there, a lot of these properties, they slope back, and they have a tendency to put, their clippings and stuff into the buffer. And so this would be a good property, I think, in particular to add probably a conservation post at the edge of the tree line, just to let the new owners know that it's a sensitive area, and to try to clean up some of the clippings piles if we can.
Well, you have trucks out there doing work, you could have them take some of the stuff out with them.
So we could put special conditions
Yeah.
Yeah.
for those, but
Yeah.
otherwise, again, I think it's great, you know.
Do you want to wait for the Board of Health?
We have to.
We should wait for the
Yeah.
Board of Health.
Yeah.
We have to. So we need to continue this too, unless there's any other questions?
Okay, I make a motion to continue to March 4th at 6:20.
Second.
58 Tremont.
Second, all in favor?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is someone here for 182 Central? We continue?
No, so, yeah, so you can read that continuance in.
Yep, I gotta open it first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here we go. On February 11th, 2019, at 6:30 PM in the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 of the Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Richard Bronstein for an extended deck on the property located at 182 Central Avenue, Humrock, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. And we're going to continue.
I make a motion to continue. 182 Central Ave, 6:20 on March 4th.
Well, you can second if you'd like.
That's all right.
All in favor? Okay, and believe it or not, the next one is continued as well. So I gotta read the spiel again.
Yeah, please read.
I should have it memorized almost. On February 11th, 2019, at 6:35 PM in the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, Section 30700 of the Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, and Section 32050 of the Town of Scituate Stormwater Bylaw regarding the application of Jeffrey Burke to construct a new single-family dwelling with septic on property located at 190 Glades Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. They also have requested a continuance.
I make a motion to continue 190 Glades Road to 6:20 on March 4th.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm sort of waiting for Rod Serling to say.
I know it. And the people who are waiting for the last one should be very happy that all of these were continued. I still have to read another spiel,
The Twilight Zone.
Yes.
I think. Here we go. On February 11th, 2019, at 6:40 PM in the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Section 131, Section 40 of Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700 of the Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Brian and Madeline Meehan to construct a new addition and a new deck on property located at 21 Franklin Street, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good.
I'm John Zimmer with South River Environmental. John Reedy with me as well.
How are you tonight?
Madeline
How are
Meehan.
you? You're welcome to come up if you'd like.
I promise this one's easier than the last one that I was here in front of you before.
It's fun.
Wasn't it though?
Yes.
So, what we have is an existing single-family dwelling on Franklin Street, which is out in Humrock.
Okay.
Ms. Meehan is proposing a 13 by 10 addition and a 10 by 10 deck off the rear of the residence. There's an existing brick patio and a planter which will be removed. There's an existing concrete slab patio, which is basically in the footprint where the addition would go. That will be removed. An existing planter where the deck would go will be removed. The deck and the addition will both be constructed on sonotubes, so it'll be raised up above to allow, obviously the flood water to move through. The reason that we're in front of you, obviously we're on a barrier beach, and the whole area is land subject to coastal storm flowage. There are really no other resource areas that are out there right now. Having the deck and the addition raised up basically meet the performance standards for land subject to coastal storm flowage. Aside from that, it's pretty straightforward. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Is this an RDA or a notice? I have, this says RDA on
It was a little funky because we
Okay,
were kind
that's
of
all. I just wanna make sure.
going back and forth
It's
and
not.
two submittals. So we submitted the NOI, we're moving forward with the NOI, because we, prefer to not have a positive determination, we'll just deal with the NOI.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just, I was just,
Yep.
I'm there, wait a minute.
So were we.
No, I don't have a problem with it.
Elevation of the new construction, is that above the flood? Okay. And what,
I'm not
we're in
sure
Hummerock,
exactly
what are we in?
Base flood elevation is in that area? I don't know if it's determined or not there.
I know from years on the fire department, that area of the town of Humrock hasn't flooded since I've been on.
Oh, well, actually, it did last year. but-
It did last year
It did
from the
last
South
year,
River.
but it's the first time. Yeah, I will say that in years.
Amen.
I was in the yellow suits pulling the people out.
Yeah.
That area didn't get the water. Everything from.
Well, you're on the ocean side or the riverside?
Riverside.
We're on the ocean side.
You're on the ocean side, you're right. It was the riverside that got flooded.
Riverside,
That's
yeah.
right.
It
You
all
are
came
correct.
in from the- it all came in
You're
from the
correct.
river.
My mistake. You are
Oh,
correct.
okay. Yeah, mine too.
We're both from Humrock, so.
Yeah.
Down there.
No, you're right. I was, somehow I was picturing, even though I was by there today, I knew this was on, and I was
Yeah.
by there, and I'm thinking, I thought this would come up, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, this just flooded for the first time last year. But you're right, it was the riverside. You are absolutely
That was
right.
the first time the
Yep.
river flooded.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You never know what's gonna happen.
No, you don't. That's true.
You gotta be prepared.
Lisa, questions?
No.
Wow. Jen?
Now that we've settled whether or not it's flooded.
Pays to be last on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm not going to even ask about the audience.
Well, that young lady there, she
I have a question.
Her question is, can we leave now?
Amy?
Not quite yet.
Yeah, so I think this one's pretty straightforward
Yeah.
also. I mean, we did look at it as a possible request, but I think that the notice of intent
Yeah.
Right.
more fitting for the amount of work that's being proposed. But yeah, so I think it appears to meet the requirements of.
This is EET. So you're
Environmental,
you're representing Bob Crawford did the end, this.
There was a cast of thousands. So Bob did the site plan. Dick Rockwood did some of the structural plans.
Gonna build it.
You're gonna build it.
Right. So I did a notice of intent, so.
And you did that.
It's not a huge deal, it's one of my pet peeves, but the benchmark on this is denoted as mean sea level. So the flood zones are all determined by NEV 1988. And so most of the people on this board have no idea that those are two different datums or how to convert those. I really like to see, so so I don't know what the BFE is out there anyways. And you're building in concert with the existing house anyways, so
Right.
it's not a big deal. I'm not, that's just like, tell Bob.
I will tell Bob.
To use NVD 88 if you're gonna be in a flood zone, because otherwise everyone on the board gets confused, because it's gonna be elevation like 15, not on mean sea level, it's only 14, and those kind of things happen, and people get like really confused, so.
I will tell Bob with all the work he does here in Marshfield.
Yeah.
Well, he's always in Humrock.
Well,
He's all over.
the benchmarks in Humrock get blown out all the time.
Sure.
So, and I don't know, he probably doesn't have a GPS unit, so. But that's how you solve that problem. But
Well, you can go help.
I can help. Right.
Got a motion?
Thank you, Doug. That was good.
Yeah. I make a
Duck nuggets tonight.
I make a motion to close.
We have a motion to close, taking it seriously for a moment. Anybody want to second it?
I'm still thinking on Doug Nuggets.
Doug nuggets.
Duck nuggets. Nuggets of wisdom.
Do I have a second?
Oh, okay.
Second.
All in favor? To go.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll be watching. I'll be watching. I just live down the street.
Okay.
Me too.
Best of luck. It goes well.
I live at 242 Central in the war zone.
Yes, you do.
I'm at 84 Central, not quite in the war zone.
Yeah.
No. You too. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Anything else that we want to discuss tonight?
Yes.
We've got a
Yes.
partial certificate. We've got-
Yes. Yes, we do.
Oh, 240,
240 Clap Road.
I'm having a problem.
I know, well, so now, the property's up for sale, so
Yes.
that's why they're asking us for a partial CC.
Is that the new house they just redid?
Yes, and it's the
Okay.
one that we had an issue with the
Yeah.
trees being cut in the back and posts and stuff like that, but so they are looking for a partial. They have a monitoring window, but was maybe a mix-up with the site contractor and the trees in the backyard. They were supposed to save a lot of the tree line.
How many were
which-
cutting?
But you know what? That's a tricky spot. Let me
Yeah.
just give the people a little bit of, there was an old house there that needed to be revamped, and the guy did a fantastic job. In the backyard, it was all overgrown, but there was an original stone wall out there that yard actually went to. Well, Mother Nature came up close, so I can see whoever went out there to clear, they figured, well, we cleared the stone wall,
Right.
which was the original yard. So I always had a little problem with this when we started it, and I said to Patrick, it's almost like the yard is grandfathered into the stone wall, because that's what it originally was. What happened, the house, I don't know if somebody was living there or not, but it all got overgrown. You know? So that's one of those like tricky things. I could really see that easily happening and not being detrimental.
Right, yeah, so I don't think it was necessarily egregious when they did it.
Yeah, right.
But still the same, our approved site plan shows that that area would be buffer. And there is a vernal pool out there.
Yeah,
And
it's
there
out
was a
there.
no-touch vernal pool buffer. But so, I don't know, I was thinking we have a holdback escrow to guarantee that this work is done in accordance with and there's a stormwater permit out here too, with an O&M plan. So, I don't know, I was thinking like $2,500 maybe?
Absolutely.
I have a question. How long ago did they cut these trees down?
Last fall.
Last
fall.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't remember this. Did we give them a date to make the restitution and replant, or?
Well, I don't think anybody really went out there until.
Well, no, Frank was out there, I'd been out there, and, but
Okay.
Frank actually was the one that was talking to the developer.
Yeah.
And they said, oh yeah, geez, we did, that was a mistake, we'll replant it.
Oh, okay.
But-
So they need to replant it?
Right, yeah,
I certainly would be in favor of a holdback. I'd even think 3,000 or something.
okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least.
Which they'll get back if they do the
Oh,
work.
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I mean, are they old trees? The older they are, the more they
No.
cost?
No,
or-
no, no,
Not
it
always?
wasn't anything
Okay,
like
we're not talking
that.
about big or?
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no. Like I said, the yard just went crazy,
Okay.
okay, because nobody took it. I mean, the whole house was engulfed when the project started. You could barely see a house there.
Okay.
Right, but, I mean, I think at this point, what they need to do is probably get some kind of a botanist
Yeah.
to take a look at it and put
Sure.
appropriate plants in there
Yeah.
and do a buffer restoration.
Yeah.
You know, nothing complicated, but anyways, okay, so we'll issue it with a
Holdback.
holdback of
Yeah.
3,000?
I'd like to see 3. I'm
Well,
open to
that's
any other
fine.
suggestions.
Doesn't,
I'd go with 4.
no, don't get,
No, don't go over.
Bad.
Okay,
Nobody's gonna,
3,500.
I mean,
nobody's gonna
yeah,
not want to get their money back.
yeah.
3,
Three.
returned.
3, yeah, 3.
I think 3's fine. I really do.
Under a million.
Under $1 million, yeah.
This
Okay,
is not a problem
Three it is.
person.
That's what I thought.
Not $3
No.
or $3,000. or-
Amy, while I think of it, and this isn't on here, but I was by 3 Irving, which we conditioned quite a while ago. They are doing a raise on Pirates, which is all good.
Yeah.
They're doing a nice job. The
Oh,
only
3 Irving, okay, yeah.
3 Irving, it is in Humrock.
Yeah.
They're right on the riverside.
Right.
The only thing I did not see is anything to stop anything from running into the river. And they've got the dirt piled up right on the edge. I didn't know if we asked for anything, but if we didn't, we might want to let them know.
Oh, thanks, Rich, okay. I'll look at it.
Yeah. Otherwise, it seems to be doing very nicely and very well contained, you know.
It's been a good winter for work. I mean,
Yes.
people have been plugging away.
Yes.
Getting these projects done, so,
So, no, I just noticed that today when I was going by Franklin, since I knew that was coming up.
yeah.
Okay.
Bunch of orders.
Do you want to do the orders now?
Yeah, I
And then
make
we'll
a
see if there's
motion
anything
we
else.
accept the orders as written for 20 Newton Street, rebuild existing porch as written.
You doing one at a time, or?
Yeah, because.
Yeah, we need a second.
Questions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion that we accept the orders as written for 157 Turner Road. That's an elevation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion that we accept the orders as written for 3739 Collier Road as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion we accept the orders as written for 4 Revere Street, that's here, up here, out there in the marsh as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion we accept the orders as written for 16 Blue Hill. That's an after-fact notice of intent of killing in the backyard there.
Second.
That's written.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No minutes we need to approve?
Yes.
Oh, you do have minutes? They're not
January
on.
7th,
Who?
January 7th.
That's the reason I asked, is I saw them, so I figured they had to be on here someplace. I don't see them, though.
Okay.
Under new business.
There they are. Thank you,
I don't know
Jen.
why it's under
Yep, oh, yeah.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes of January 7th, did you say?
Yes.
As written. I'm not seeing it.
Do we have any other certificate of compliances?
No.
No? Okay.
You gotta vote.
Need a second?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jen.
What? I was watching this.
Yeah, I was too.
Okay. Amy, anything from you?
Oh,
Well, I had some questions on the Russo-Topman property on the Driftway. And I left the background, yes, we pulled the file, and there's a long, complicated history on that
it's
property.
very complicated.
And I mean, I know that Pat, that was like one of his special assignments to try to move that forward, but it was caught up in litigation, so it was in the lawyer's offices, you know, at stalemate. So now it appears that it's up for sale, and so I'm being questioned about what is the appropriate course of action for that property. And so I see that, you know, there's an order, well, there were a number of orders relating to when the T went in, and then just orders pertaining to the use of the property as, you know, kind of a contractor's yard, and there's definitely environmental matters down there
Oh, yes,
that are
there is.
unresolved, and involving Board of Health even a number of years back, where there was discharge of oil out to the marsh. So, I don't know, I think that there's a potential that the property will be bought up for redevelopment, you know what I mean? So, I'm not sure if that will involve a change of use, you know, or like if it'll go from a contractor's yard to commercial property, like I'm not sure what the fate of the property is. So, just thinking the board should maybe give me some feedback on your thoughts and history of that property. And there's an undone stormwater.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
know
was
that
gonna
that
say.
was, you know, they had an approved plan to address this stormwater management out there, of which there's currently nothing. You know what I mean? It's a dirt yard with a bunch of piles and heavy equipment and stuff. I mean, who knows what's out there really, given the history of the property, but.
There was supposed to be a cleanup too out there,
Yeah.
because they had it, we believe they had encroached on town property with junk. Okay, by that trail between.
Yes, between Dunkin' Donuts
Donuts
and,
and them.
Yeah.
So there's an encroachment there of them throwing, it has to be cleaned. The whole property.
I remember Patrick and I met with a lawyer at one time, perhaps
Yeah, we met
6
here.
months before you started.
Okay.
And they swore they were going to come up with something, and then obviously nothing ever happened.
Right, I've seen correspondence
Right,
memorializing
right.
agreements, you know,
Yeah.
that was going to be completely cleaned up. I mean, not just the storage of
Yeah.
materials, but if there was environmental contamination in the ground, that
And
would
I
Yes.
be
guarantee you there
looked at
is.
and tested, like the water was, I think was going to be tested,
Yeah.
and then again, the stormwater management
Right. No,
concerns.
I certainly don't have an engineering bone in my body, but there's definitely contamination there.
And the thing is, no matter what the use is, whether it's still a construction yard or not, it has to be cleaned up before you even just do
I'm not sure
nothing there.
if we
It-
should renew our intentions, you know what I mean? Renew a enforcement order, or we just, I mean, I think we want it to be friendly, so maybe that would be the wrong tactic. Maybe instead, you know, you try to see where future development is headed, and if these people have the resources to, you know, just figure out what the plan is, which is yet to be identified, you know.
Well, the thing is though, no matter whether they have the money or not, that really isn't my problem. My problem is the site is contaminated. It needs to be cleaned before anything's done out there.
I agree.
And if they want to take it on in their purchase, that's,
It's a condition.
I don't want to hear after, well, I didn't know, I
Now,
don't know.
that I think is the key, that
Yeah.
whoever thinks they're going to buy this is aware that all of this stuff is still pending, and I would assume would have to be taken care of, whether, either by the people leaving the property before they leave, or the people buying it.
Right.
And if we don't have something on record that says that, then they may buy it blind, and then we have to start all over
And then we're
again.
gonna go through all that, and we've been through things like that
Right,
before.
but
They're
I
not
think
buying it.
it makes sense, though, that as far as the
Yeah.
stormwater management goes,
Yeah.
that if there's a pending development, say they were going to put a strip mall or a condo complex out there, something like that, I mean,
They might.
we wouldn't force their hand to put in something to address concerns as is, right? If it's about to be flipped into a different use, because they would be required to update their stormwater with the new development.
Sure they would, but if there was also contamination there, wouldn't they
Well,
still
they're
have?
going to need to clean it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there an
That-
enforcement order already
Yeah.
on the property?
Yes.
Yes.
So the buyers, and that's filed somewhere, the buyers should know that.
Yes, and there's an open order, so it hasn't been, there's no certificate of compliance. I mean, there's an order which specifically
Right, so that's,
addresses.
that's a lien on their deed then, basically. So I mean, if they,
Right.
there's no escaping that, the buyer will know.
How old is the
Right.
enforcement
Oh,
order?
yeah.
You know, I don't know.
They'll be,
That-
they'll be
Well, one of
expecting
them
to
is
have
not
to
that
do
old.
There's a good reason for that. It's very different if it's within 12 months and exceeds 12 months as far as.
Well, it has exceeded 12 months. The
Well,
last enforcement.
but there's been, again, there's a long
Yeah.
history of that
Where we went
property, you
back and
know.
forth
and
and-
It's gone back, I
still-
think, since the T went in there, since
Oh, yeah.
Greenbush, yeah.
Yes, it
But
has.
even
Oh,
30
that's how
years
the
ago, I mean,
enforcement
it's
order
been
No,
used as
the
a
last enforcement order
contractor's
is
yard with
2 years
probably
old.
50, even longer. I mean,
Yeah.
Frank has told me stories. It's
Oh,
got a
please.
really long.
Very long,
Yeah.
sketchy
As a
history
contractor,
down
yeah.
there.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the paperwork when I was working in the archives from the days when the T and all the legislation and all the rules and regulations that were supposedly going to be enforced. A lot of them haven't been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be great to see the property cleaned up and
Yeah.
to see something positive happen there. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed that
Yep.
that'll happen. I don't know, otherwise, we did get through the budget hearings.
Saw you.
No, you did, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so level funded and, yep. And so we just, you know, we're hoping that the season is going to continue without significant intervention from
That would be
Mother
nice.
Nature, because God knows, we could all use a rest after last winter.
Second that.
You know, so far so good, as soon as you say that.
All in favor?
So,
Would you like to vote
We're all
on
in
that?
favor of that one.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll see what March brings
The
us.
MAC conference is coming up the first weekend in March, Saturday, actually not a weekend, just Saturday, Holy Cross. We do have one member that is interested in going, so
Yeah, can we finalize that tonight?
Yeah, we can finalize that tonight, and there is a very exciting presentation on land subject to coastal storm.
That's what I want to
flowage.
go to, yeah.
Yeah, so, which I've heard will be, you may be one of the first to know what that new regulation says, because I don't even think that the leaders know yet. It's sitting on, like, somebody in high place's desk, waiting for signature. So I think it's gonna either be just about to be released, or maybe even not yet. But, so that's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to have some solid direction on that.
That
Well,
it?
it's so fuzzy-wuzzy. Yeah.
Anything else?
No, not
It's
that I
fuzzy
know.
wuzzy. Do you wish to stay longer this evening?
No, I'd like to go home now.
Well, then we need a motion to close, please.
I make a motion, we
Adjourn.
adjourn.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Oh, we did the minutes.